Hello everyone, this video is focusing on the second challenge for Pandas introduction that we are working with the adult data. As the rest of the challenge videos, there are going to be two stops during the video. First, after I introduce the challenge, please give yourself a chance to do the challenge without any help. If you are struggling, continue watching as I will present a guide or some sort of help to help you along the way, and then give yourself another chance to watch or to try the challenge. And if you were still struggling, and also if you managed to solve it and if you wanted to see how I did it, you may continue watching the video. So let's get started. So as I said, the challenge is about the adult data. So first of all, we import pandas and also the adult data that we are starting to get to know better and better. This challenge wants to create a table or create a list of all of the education level and the number and percentage of the people that are in population with those education level in 1996. So we remember, as I said about this data set does not represent, every row is not one individual. Every row is a profile of individual, and the FNL WGT, which stands for final weight, is sort of showing how many in the population are represented by this row of the data. So when you want to find a number of people, you have to do a summation over this final weight for those represented rows when you're going about this challenge. Go ahead and give this challenge a try. Give yourself 5 to 10 minutes and then continue watching if you wanted to get some guidance. Okay, we're gonna continue watching this video and looking at this guideline. So the first thing you will have to do to go about this challenge is find all of the education possibilities. So you can do that by saying df.education.unique. Unique, as you remember, function will give you all of the possibilities within that series that we can get from the data frame. And once you have that, before going through your loop that you go through all of the education possibilities and do some calculations based on all of them, you want to create a placeholder. So I'm using a DataFrame placeholder here. So this ... means that there are three things that you have to put here for you to have this placeholder. So once you have that placeholder, which you have to specify a default value for all of them, they're placeholder. They could be anything, as long as they make sense. And then you have to specify what are the indices of this placeholder, and then what columns you want. And once you have that, you can create this placeholder. And then you go through your loop. On each iteration, you find a Boolean mask that filter out the type of data that you want based on that iteration. And then you do two calculations. You calculate the number of people based on the data, and then also you calculate the percentage of the people. And since we want to sort of see the trend of what was happening, we also sort the values based on one of those columns that I have done based on the representation. So give yourself another chance to be able to finish this challenge before continuing to watch. So the way you create the placeholder in the solution is you specify the default. I'm saying 0.0.0, as in I want to make sure that I'm specifying that I want floating numbers, as my percentages are floating numbers. And then the indexes are going to be basically education possibilities. So every row of the data represent one of these education possibilities. So we might as well just use it as an index. It's the most convenient one. And our columns are going to be the number of people representation and also the percentage. So those two columns we're going to have. As we go through the loop, so we create the Boolean mask, by saying I want to keep the only rows that have that specific education, and use that Boolean mask to filter those people out and do a summation based on their numbers. And I will put that in the appropriate place in my placeholder. And for the percentage, this is the same thing, but just it's divided by a total number of the population. So I calculate the total population before getting into this loop, so I would avoid doing calculations over and over again for a calculation that can be done only once. So I do this represent the total population, so I divide that number by the total population and my placeholder will be filled. Before reporting it, I sort the values based on one of the columns. It's not going to matter because they are going to have the same correlation. And so they're going to be like correlated completely. And I also do it ascendingly. And once we run this, we get the fact that in 1996, the most people, 32% of the population had high school degree. And I would bet a good money that the numbers and the columns, the order here have changed in the time that we are living right now.